All right. This is going to be my rant. It's going to be wordy. It's going to be a little confusing, and I'm very sick. So I apologize if it is a little all over the place, but this is something that we have been going through for years. And as a coach, someone who works with players and trying to help these players achieve their goals and help people make Smash more than just playing the video game is absolutely one of the most infuriating things ever. And this is going to be more than just we need an off season. This is a lot of pieces together that create a bigger problem. There's a lot of issues that cause all of this. This isn't just, oh, PGR screwed up, which they did, and this should have been planned out a year and a half ago when the game came out, when we had an off season. Like, this should have just been done. And it's very simple, and I've suggested this multiple times. It should be the last 2 weeks of December and the first 2 weeks of January. Every year, we shouldn't have tournaments that count then. People can have a holiday. People can spend that time to get better. People can spend that time to not be sick. People can celebrate, like, whatever, practice religion, like, whatever you need to do during that time. That's the new year, you know? People need to spend time to chill out. As well as it's some of the worst time to travel because of weather. People get more sick, all that. Like, I'm going to go through all this. So the first thing, above all else, we have so many events that the cost of attending these big events week after week after week is impossible unless you have outside income, which I'm not going to even like ramble about, but that's one piece that causes this problem. Number two, the actual like health concerns of frequent flying. Flying a couple times a year doesn't really matter. Not everyone has different bodies, everyone has a different immune system. Some people are just better at dealing with all that stuff, but not everybody is. And the reality is that frequent flying is actually unhealthy for you. It is a proven fact. The number one thing is that like the air inside of an airplane is almost always recirculated. So you pretty much have like a almost 100% chance of catching something that someone else has on a plane with you. It's going to happen whether you like it or not. And you can only do so much about it because we don't have a fucking cure for the common cold. You're going to get it. And when you get it, you're going to bring it to the event. And when you feel like crap, you're going to go, oh my God, I have to attend this. I have to enter this, or I'm going to be penalized. And especially, yeah, the argument for this is that people go, oh, well, there's like 12 S tiers. Well, that's another problem that I'm not really going to delve into. But that's a whole nother video. But basically, the penalty for being sick, because this lifestyle of constantly flying gets you sick, is a problem. Not only that, but then you have issues with like altitude causing issues for your sinuses. That if you have a previous injury within your joints or your circulatory system or whatever, any of that stuff, it's going to be affected by constantly flying. And especially with, to be honest with you guys, a lot of our higher end players already having issues with whether it be arthritis or anything in that kind of realm, this makes that worse because of the altitude. And people don't understand that. And I'm not saying, oh, never fly. Like I said, it's about frequent flying being the problem. That's the issue, is that you're constantly having to do it week after week after week. People are flying more than they're not, which is horrible. And the way that the system is formed with the way the PGR works promotes that. Once you're flying and you're doing all this stuff more and more and more and more, most people struggle with eating well, sleeping well, and like working out and like being healthy and taking care of themselves. More responsible people and everything like that. If you're it's your own responsibility. But the issue is that not only when you're trying to do all that stuff, you're having to deal with things like jet lag, with having to enter the tournaments, and then you have all the mental fatigue of the tournaments and like excess socializing and all of that. And again, everyone deals with all that stuff a little bit differently. But all of that promotes this unhealthy lifestyle. When you're flying so much, especially when you're going across the country or to different countries back and forth for some of these players who physically can't do it, and God bless, they shouldn't, you don't have time to take care of yourself, whether that be your physical or mental health. How are you supposed to, like, for some people, it's like, yeah, Mr. R posted a great thread a while ago that's like telling people, like, go to a grocery store when you go to a tournament and like buy fruit and vegetables. God bless, that is good advice. But not everyone can do that. Some people don't even have the time. You look at some of these players that go to one-day events and they fly out and fly back, and it's like they don't even sleep. And the jet lag hits them so hard. Like, it's insane, and that is what really makes it harder for people. You don't have the energy to do the things you need to do to be healthy. If you want to achieve like greatness in anything, your mind and your body has to be healthy. And this is something I've been really pushing on players lately, is that if you want to be one of the best, if you want to be great at this, you have to be healthy. But this makes that so much harder to do, and that is so counterintuitive on so many levels. We're lucky that like this December isn't really that packed, so people can just skip out. Except for the very few people at the top who don't have that choice, because if they want to get the difference of 5th place or 3rd, they have to attend. They don't have a choice, because they need to get those wins, and they need to outplace the other person. And if that person goes to that event and you don't, they're going to get points and you're not. And that's going to screw you over. This is a little all over the place, I apologize again. But it's really, really counterintuitive to the fact that if you want to achieve any of this, you almost can't, because the system is against you doing it. The expectation of someone to be flying and like, I lost my train of thought, sorry. The expectation for someone to be traveling almost as much as the time that they're not traveling, if not more, is insanity. Because you don't have time to fix your sleep schedule if you have jet lag. You don't have time to like, even like, if you want to get home and be like, okay, well, I want to practice. Oh, but I have to meal prep. Oh, but I need to go to the gym. Oh, but I need to do this. You're not going to be able, you can't fit everything. And if you do, you don't have a fucking life. You don't have a social life. You can't spend time with your family. You can't make new friends. You can't do anything. And yet people go, oh, it's a sacrifice for your passions. Now, there's a difference between a sacrifice and isolation. It's a serious problem. And people like rip on gamers and like, the G word, for having extremely bad social skills. And systems like this are what create this. When you look at big games like MOBAs and all that stuff, for a couple years, these players do this, and they have no life, and they scrim for 12 hours a day and everything like that, but they cash out so hard that it doesn't matter. And they have like such a big system behind them that enables this to be able to cash out for a couple years and like give up your life. But we don't have that luxury. Smash doesn't make you a millionaire. You don't get health care and health insurance from playing Smash. You need a job. Sponsors aren't going to give you any of that. You need to like that. You need to go to school. You can't do all these things. What? The system is literally counterintuitive to being able to do both of these. You have to sacrifice your life to do this, and that is wrong. It shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't. We shouldn't be having tournaments every week for 6 months. People can't be healthy. People can't have lives. People don't have time to make real content. That's why people rip on Smash content being like crap, because it's just recycled footage constantly with like bad editing from like mediocre editors, because they don't have any money to pay real editors, or it's people in the community who aren't able to ask for more money because the precedent is set that like nobody can make money because there is no money. All these issues are all fighting against itself within this system. The biggest thing I really want to go on about is like the idea of like the meta and how that impacts both people, like their physical health and their mental health and like the game. When you have people constantly playing this game month after month after week after week after day after day after day, number one, they're going to get sick of it. Some people won't, because they just love it. They have the passion for the game, and God bless them. Not everyone feels that way. It's when you get into the motions of things, it creates like an autopilot. Everyone's heard the term of like autopiloting, but when you're just doing this stuff, you don't have time to like self-analyze. You don't have time to do this stuff, because the only time you have to do it would be on the plane, because that's the only downtime you're gonna have is on that plane. But you need to sleep on the plane most of the time for these players, because it's the time that they have to sleep to try fix their sleep schedule. It's insanity. So not only that, there are people that then hire people like me to do that part of that for them and work with them. But the issue is that you have no time to sit down and actually learn any skills, because you only have like a day or two to like learn something new and like cement a new skill or improve at something. Because before you know it, you're going to the next one and the next one, the next one, the next one. The way I describe it is like everyone sees all these problems and they like Elmer's glue all these little solutions. But the minute you tilt, all of that falls apart. And that's when you see people get super salty and tweet all these excuses and all this stuff because they thought they figured out but they didn't, because they didn't actually learn something. They kind of got the idea and were like stuck it on a little bit, and then it just fell apart because Elmer's glue is shit. Like, you can't, it's not gonna maintain. That's why these top players, like when we had Zero, he was the best because he just gave up his life, and it was so unhealthy. It was so bad, and he talks about it all the time how much it was bad for him physically and mentally to do that. The way he did it, I don't entirely agree with, but I get why he did it, because the system promoted it. It enabled him to do that and live that unhealthy lifestyle. Before I even get into the whole community aspect and how that creates a problem in it, like, the issue is that you don't have time to get better. When you look at other sports and they have like off seasons, that off season is training time and resting time. It's both. The problem is during these seasons, you don't get time for either of those. If you want to rest, you're penalized. If you get sick, you're penalized. If you want to like get better, you're penalized. Because if you spend the time to do any of those things and it ends up not being immediately worth it, if you don't get instant gratification, people feel like they wasted their time. And then they don't do it again because the system enables them to not do it. It's very important, even if we had it periodically, even just certain months blocked off, I don't care, like something so that people can actually improve, because the problem is these top players, and Leo's even having this discussion now where he's considered quitting. He talked about it in his little thing with Hungrybox, the Hot Ones parody, that like maybe one day he might quit. He's thought about it and go the Zero route, because not only are you gonna make more money, and Leo like helping support his family and everything like that, very similar to Zero, like why would he not? It's the smartest thing for him to do. But he can't do that because so much of his brand is built off being the best player and all of that. And so he's going to have to fight the whole system again. The next thing I want to talk about is like the way the community enables this. If you spend time not going to some events, you're dodging tournaments. If you don't go to some stuff and then you try to go, or if you try something new at an event and you don't do good, or you take some time off and you go to an event, you're washed. Where's the time to get better? Where's the okay to mess up? How do people learn? I'm getting off track. The big issue is that you cannot be successful in a game like this. There are 70-something fucking characters with 1 billion different moves and 100 different play styles with people who play different across all over the earth, and you're expected to learn how to deal with that stuff. But you can't spend the time to learn how to deal with that stuff if every 2 days or every 3 days you're pressured to have to go on a flight because you want to maintain your rank, because you want to do this stuff. And yeah, some people are willing to bite that bullet and accept that, but other people don't have the luxury. Some people have to place high enough to maintain this lifestyle or it all goes away. The system promotes this, and it's not okay. I don't have all the answers. There are lots of ways of going about it. Having a limited amount of tournaments a month, having a limited amount of PGR tournaments a month. The issue with that becomes the politics of what tournaments get to be good, which ones matter, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to get into all that. But there's a lot of different ways we can take this. But nobody wants to tell people, no, don't run a fucking tournament at this time. Nobody wants to spend the time to go, okay, I'm not going to go to this tournament, because they have to if they want to achieve this goal to make their dreams come true. It's the reality. There are a lot of, the biggest thing is everyone has to look at this from the different perspectives. Not everyone wants to be the best, and that's totally fine. Not everyone wants to be top 20. Not everyone wants to be PGR and everything like that. But the ones who do are getting fucked. Just absolutely fucked. And I apologize for being very blunt about it, but it's insane. I've worked with so many of these ranked players through all of Smash 4 and now so far through Ultimate, and it's sad because these players are getting so sick because they feel like that they have to keep going to these tournaments, both physically and mentally. The mental like fortitude that you have to deal with the fact that if you mess up, that people are going to literally like harass you for being washed, and that like your brand is going to be damaged because you didn't know something. That ignorance is being punished in a video game is insanity. You can't expect people to be good at this game and to fix the problems with their play and do all this stuff if they don't have the fucking time to do it. Even if that 1 month can help players get so much better. Taking the time to go and grind and then stopping and reflecting on all that grinding is the most valuable thing. One of the most valuable things you can do. But during all that time, you have to be healthy. You have to sleep well. You have to eat well. You have to work out. You have to do all of these things. Because if you don't, it is all moot. It is all useless. It is going to fall apart. It is not concrete. It's not cemented, whatever you want to call it. It's just going to fall apart. And then you're going to be washed. And your whole understanding is going to fall apart. And your passion is going to feel like a mistake because of the fact that you felt like you wasted all these hours, all this money doing this stuff because the system makes you feel like you have to do it that way. Yes, people can just not go to tournaments all the time. Yes, there's nothing requiring you to go to everything. But the way it works is that if you do, and you're pretty good, you're gonna get ranked. And if you get ranked pretty high, you get opportunities in life to make this a reality, that this can be your life. Not everyone has that aspiration, and not everyone's gonna get that. And some people think that's fucking stupid, and that's fine. This isn't directed at you. If you just inherently disagree with any of this, just stop listening, because this isn't for you, and there's nothing I can say to you that's gonna change your mind, because you're not the guy that's trying to become one of the best players. This isn't about that. This is about, like, what we have to do is there's a balance of, like, the casual competitive and, like, the casual community and all that, and the players who really want to be the best. And we cannot favor either side. There has to be a balance in everything. And right now, it's just everybody wants a piece of the pie of running a tournament and trying to either put their foot in the community and feel like they're contributing in some way, or trying to make money off of it, you know? And most events really don't make a lot of money, and some make a ton of money. Like, it really depends. It really depends. There's a lot of variables to that. But the way the system works is promoting this horrible, horrible lifestyle for players where they can't have a life. They can't build a foundation of having a like healthy I'm losing my track. Sorry. You can't, like, these top players can't have a life. They can't be healthy. They can't get better. They can't spend time with their families or their friends. It's insane. You're isolated to this one thing because you're obligated, in a sense, to have to go to everything, or all the most important things, which usually are pretty close to one another. If nobody's noticed that during the time of the summer and like the early winter and stuff like that, or fall, whatever you want to call it, like that's when it gets crazy. And right after that, there has to be a stop button. It has to happen, and it needs to be set yesterday. It has to happen, because people are going to lose their minds, and more top players, every single person that's going to make it to the top, they're going to get sick of it, and they're going to quit, and they're either going to just disappear from the community, or they're going to do what Zero's doing. And eventually, people are going to stop wanting to become the best players, and this is going to die out, because why would anyone bother becoming the best player if the next thing they're going to realize is becoming the best player has no, like, value outside of the like, I did it. It's not healthy. The system doesn't make that a good idea. And obviously, people shouldn't be, like, I don't think people should be trying to make Smash their entire life. There's a lot of things you gotta get lucky with for that to be viable. The average person should not do that. But the people that are already on that path right now, we're just kicking them in the shins at this point. And that's not okay. I think that's everything I really want to say. What I really want to stress is that, like, PGR, I appreciate everything you do. I think you guys have put in some great work, but we keep making the same mistakes, whether that be stage list problems, whether that be rule set as a whole, whether that be like the tiering system, whether that be invitationals, whether that be like how, like, when our tournaments are announced, like all that stuff. This needs to be fixed before people get sick of it, because we're getting to that point now where people are getting sick of it. People are starting to genuinely hate the game, and that is impacting the community and creating a negative stigma, because this community is a fucking hive mind, because it's how social media works, because they're forced to have to do this or they can't accomplish any of it. It's easy to say, oh, just get over it. And it's easy to say, like, oh, just don't attend that event. But the actual consequences of that do not play out in your favor at all, because there are a lot of other pieces that have to work out for that to be worth it. The last thing I want to say is, if you're sick, don't go to a fucking tournament, because you're gonna get everyone else sick. If you feel like you're sick, don't fly. Don't do it. Don't plan it. Wait till you're better and figure it out. Like, people need to take care of their physical health above all else. You're not going to have good mental health. You can't have a good mindset if you're constantly getting sick and you're constantly exhausted and stuff. Take care of yourself. If your aspirations aren't that high, don't get enabled by the system. Don't get sucked into this right now. Do what is good for you. Go to school, be healthy, and just, what's the way I don't know how I want to put it. Like, forget what other people think. Like, this is very generic advice, but it's reality. Like, you have to do these things before you get sucked into everything, because you're gonna lose your mind. And that's what happens to all these community, like, figures, whatever you want to call it, like all the top players, all that stuff, is they lose their minds because they're going through like machines, having to play this game every week, blah 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 blah. And that's why you see everyone just going like snapping on social media. That's why people get pissed off constantly. That's why people are like getting angry at the game, because they don't know what to get angry at, because they can't be angry at the way the system works, because it's not going to change. Because everyone's been screaming into the void. So I have chosen to scream into the void and hope that any of you find any sort of things to agree with this. This was very long. I apologize. And I appreciate any of you who listen to this. If you ever have any questions, shoot me a message. I am very sick. I apologize if I don't get back to you right away. The best way to get a hold of me is through just like Twitter DMs or just tweeting at me. Whatever it is, like, I'm always open for discussion on any of this stuff. But again, this is directed at like the top players and the people running the things in this community. This has to change because people are gonna get sick of it and stop, and then this won't be a thing anymore. And we all love this, so let's not ruin it.